Rivals turns into lovers and rivals again. James Alexander? Yep, that's me. I am James Alexander Soares, the heir of Soares Law Firm, the biggest law firm in town, and that's my dad, Jimmy, the one who shouted my name, and I know from that call that I'll be handling one of the worst cases again. Oh wow, good morning to you too, Dad, I sarcastically answered my dad. What now, Dad? Another case? I added. Every day is a new case, son. Did you see the news this morning? My dad asked. The one with Anthony's involvement, Dad said, like he is so disappointed. Oh right, the murder case about Sicily? What about that? I asked, even though I know from the moment he called my name, he will let me handle this case again. I know you can handle this, son. Don't let our name be left with dirt. I trust you with this. That's the last thing he said before leaving my office, and now I'll be working non-stop for the mess that my cousin caused. After hearing all the news about my cousin, I stepped outside my office where I started hearing some gossip from my colleagues. I heard that there's another unbeatable attorney that just arrived in town. Someone tapped my shoulder, and as I looked at the person, it's my best friend, Michael. You know the worst part is, James? He is your rival about the case you're handling right now, Michael added. What's worse with that one? We all know that I can win that case despite how unbeatable my rival in court is, I confidently said. I walked like I am not curious about my opponent, but I really am. Who is this mystery guy? Is he going to replace my name as the most powerful lawyer here in Seattle? I've worked sleepless nights just to search, find, and prove that my cousin is innocent, because I know that Anthony will never do such a thing, knowing that we're a family of lawyers. I also watched some of his press statements to get some points for his upcoming court trial to have strong evidence that he is not guilty of what they accused him for. Dad, I entered my dad's office to verify the date when I can interview Anthony on my own. Yes, son? Do you need anything? My dad asked me. Dad, can you give me a date when to interview Anthony? As his lawyer, I need to know his story before the trial. I need to get some strong points, Dad, I said. Anthony will have his press release statement later today, but according to your uncle, he is not going anywhere tomorrow. Do you want me to call him to let him know about your one-on-one interview? My dad asked me again. Oh, thank you, Dad. I'll tell him myself. I'll contact him later, I said, and walked out the door and entered my office. I called Anthony as I said to my dad to let him know about his interview with me about his case. Cows, can we meet tomorrow in your house? I just need your story to get strong points before the trial, I asked while on the phone. Hey, Mr. Attorney. Of course, I'm not going anywhere tomorrow until the trial day, so we have all this week to discuss the things you want. I'm not guilty of this accusation, Coos. Anthony defended himself. I know, and I will prove that when the trial day has come, I claimed and ended the call. The next day. Good morning, attorney. Mr. Anthony is on the balcony, sir. Their housemaid welcomed me as I entered Anthony's house. I walked through their house until I reached the balcony, and there he was, seated on his favorite chair as usual. Hey man, are you ready? We shaked hands and I sat down beside him. I'm always ready, attorney, he said. That's when I started asking him about the night of Sicily's murder. Let's be serious, Anthony. Tell me anything that happened that night. You can tell me everything, and I promise that I'll prove that you're innocent, not unless you really did that thing, I said to him. Coos, you know that I will never do such things knowing that I am in a family that is surrounded by lawyers, and if I am not, I will still never gonna do it. I know the right and wrong, James, he said. I was the last person that was seen with Sicily because we came from the bar, and I accompanied her to her house to ensure his safety, but after we reached their house, I immediately went home because I'm also tired of partying all night. I will not do that to Sicily. She is my best friend, he whimpered while he was telling me the story. I know, Coos. I know that you will never hurt Sicily. That's it for today, Anthony. Take a rest and be ready for trial. I will fight for you, and I will prove your innocence. You can count on me, buddy. I stood up and shook the hand of my cousin as a way of saying goodbye. I went home directly to arrange the papers of Anthony to make it good for the trial. I fixed everything that is important for him. I have known my cousin since he was born, and I know that this is the only way I can make up for what he has done for me since we're kids. As I fixed the papers, My curiosity never left me on who I am going to compete with in this case. I've known different lawyers from this town, and most of them worked for me, so there's no possibility that they will be my rival. One of my techniques is knowing my rival because in that way, I will know how they play on court. But it is different this time. I don't know who she will be. The trial has come, and up until now, I still don't know who I will fight this case with. My dad never gave me a clue on her identity. That's why I never got the chance to know my rival's move when in the courtroom. The trial will start in a few minutes, but I still can't see the lawyer from the other side of the court. And I heard someone run in the hall. I looked at it and never expected to see him. Our eyes met, and it felt like it was the first time we saw each other. I saw a man of my dreams that I never expect that I will see again, Calix Matthew Lee. I heard the knock of the gavel that means that the judge is there, so I proceed to my side as well as Calix. I still cannot believe that Calix is here, and he is my rival, which made I think about the old days I had with him before the day that I left him. The trial has started, and Calix begins with his questions on my cousin, Anthony. We are here today to get justice of Miss Cicely Smith, who was recently killed by a crime murdered. Good morning, everyone, and of course to you, Mr. Soares. I am Calix Matthew Lee, the lawyer of the plaintiff. Greetings of Calix before he starts to question my cousin. So, Mr. Soares, I heard that you are the longtime best friend of Miss Smith. Is that right? Calix asked. Yes, attorney. We've been best friends since college, Anthony answered. Where were you the night that the murder of Miss Smith happened? Calix asked again. I was walking away from her house because I accompanied her to make sure her safety because she was drunk due to the reason that we partied all night, and I heard a gunshot, and it seems that it came from her house, so I ran off so quickly to her house, and I saw her there, laying on the floor with full of blood that came from his neck, Anthony said. Thank you, Mr. Soares. And Calix went back to his side as he heard the knock of the gavel. I was amazed at how Calix plays in court, and I know for sure that's the reason why they call him the Gem. Since Calix is done questioning my cousin, it's my time to bring my witness and pull out my point to prove that Anthony is innocent. Good morning, Judge. I am James Alexander Soares, the lawyer of the defendant, and I am with the witness, which is Miss Ann Burrell, the neighbor of Miss Cicely Smith, I greeted. So as we heard earlier, Mr. Soares is the longtime best friend of Miss Smith for at least 8 years. My client also stated that he walked away already once Miss Smith arrived from her house, not until he heard the gunshot. I said, Miss Burrell, did you see any unnecessary movements from the client when you saw them that night? I asked my witness. No, sir. They were laughing with one another until Cicely entered her house, and I saw that when I was sitting on my balcony, and I also saw how Anthony walked away from the house, Miss Burrell said. I actually saw a woman earlier that night, while I was walking from the convenience store down the road. I saw a woman who's covered with black hoodie, blue-washed jeans and sunglasses walked inside Cicely's house like she knows everything about the house, but I didn't call anyone at all because I thought it was her sister after all, she added. So you're trying to say that there was a person inside her house even before Cicely and Anthony arrived from the house, isn't it? I asked. Yes, sir. I didn't either see her get out of the house, she answered. So, Miss Burrell, your point is the woman who entered the house that you thought was Cicely's sister is not her sister at all, and you assumed that it was the one who shot Miss Smith? I asked her again to clarify her points, because it is somehow connected to the evidence that I've prepared. Yes, sir, you're right, she answered. Thank you, Miss Burrell, for your cooperation. You may now go down from that chair, I said to end from interrogating her. Yesterday, one from the police station called me about the ongoing case of my cousin, Anthony, and his best friend, Cicely. They said that they found that all the CCTV from the house of Cicely was cut off 1 hour before the crime. But little the murderer doesn't knew, there was a small CCTV on of Cicely's plants that she forget to cut off, but that camera can only show the back of the suspect. That's why we can only depend on its voice. As we proceed with this trial, together with the help of the police, we've gathered footage from Miss Smith's house the time that the murderer came in on her house from her hidden CCTV camera, and this is it. I said, as I flashed the footage on the screen so that everyone in that room could watch the scene and hear the voice of the suspect. Everyone on the court was watching the footage, not until Miss Cicely's sister stood up with anger on her face. "That's Trisha's voice! I knew it!" she angrily said, and looked up for Trisha in the courtroom. "How can you do this to your best friend, Trish?" Miss Cicely's sister is so mad that she went through the hall to reach Trisha. The knock of the gavel suddenly heard again by anyone which stopped Miss Smith from attacking Trisha, and the judge said, "Order in the court, ladies. Go back to your seat." Everyone is stopping Miss Smith and calm her down for her to go back to her seat to discuss the further accusation about Trisha Lim. "Judge, can I have the permission to ask one of our court audience tonight for further questions?" I asked the judge. "You may, Mr. Soares. Miss Lim, kindly take the witness stand for the interrogation," he answered. As the judge say, Miss Lim walked on the chair as I was about to ask her for her stand about this crime. "Good morning, Miss Lim. I am Mr. Soares, the lawyer of the defendant. I don't want to chit-chat, so I'll ask you my question directly. Why did you kill Miss Smith?" I asked her immediately. "Because I am so insecure. I am so done with her. She gets whatever she wants, even Anthony. She gets everything that is supposed to be mine, and to kill her is the best solution that I can think of that night." She shouted at me as she confessed the crime. Everyone on the court hall looked so shocked about the words that came from Miss Lim's mouth that made everyone's whisper to each other, and I can see from the opposite side the anger on the face of Miss Smith's family. Trisha is also shocked by the confession she made, and she knew from there that it would change her life forever when I saw her crying after she confessed. As I heard the knock of the gavel, I knew that I won against the worst case again. I knew from that moment that my dad would be so proud of me, not because I won that case, but because I swept the dirt out of our family name, and especially Anthony's name. We clearly heard from the mouth of Miss Lim that the accusation from Mr. Soares is not true. I know from the start that my client will never do such a thing just like this murder. I ended my stand from that moment I said that. We are closing this case as Mr. Anthony Soares is not guilty about the accusation for this case, and Miss Trisha Lim will be charged for her crime, as she falls for provisions of Article 246, shall kill another, shall be guilty of murder, and shall be punished by reclusion temporal in its maximum period to death. Miss Trisha Lim will be punished for a lifetime imprisonment, for she was found guilty for this case. We are now closing this case. Thank you, attorneys," the judge said, and he knocked the gavel again as a sign of ending the court trial. I am happy that my cousin is not guilty for all the accusations against him, but as I looked on the opposite side of the court, it made me ask myself if I could see him again, or this is where it ends. I saw Calix shaking the hands of everyone from the family of Cicely with a smile on his face. And that moment, our eyes met. I stared at him while smiling, and he mouthed, "Congrats." My heart beats very fast again, just like how it beat for him 6 years ago. At that moment, I was thinking if I'll ask him out later that night or not, but if I didn't, it is possible that I will never get the chance again, so I said to myself that, if it's not today, then when? I walked across the hall to go to his side. I saw him this closely again after 6 years of waiting. "Congrats, Attorney Soares." He shook my hand as he congratulated me. "I knew from the moment I saw you on my opposite side that you will win this case against me, no doubt." He laughed. I heard him laugh again for a very long time of not hearing everything about him, and it still melted my heart how it did 6 years back when I was in love with him. "Thank you, Attorney Lee," I said. "What about a drink tonight, my treat?" I asked him, praying that he would say yes on my invitation, even if there is also a chance that he will say no. "Wow, celebration night it is," he said happily, which I didn't expect. "So see you tonight, James?" he said. "I'll see you tonight, Cal, 8 p.m. at the newly opened bar in town," I said, and he waved goodbye as he walked through the door until my eyes can't reach him anymore. I walked through the door of the court, and from afar, I can see how many interviewers are on the outside of the building, but the only thing I can think of is Calix. I am so happy that he said yes, because I thought he would say no, due to the sudden ghosting I made 6 years ago. But I have my reasons, and I'm planning to tell him later tonight. I went home straight, and when I opened my car door, I saw my family waiting outside for me, and I knew he would do that, because that's always their thing once I finished or won a case. They ran quickly to me and congratulated me, but I don't have time to entertain them because I need to prepare for tonight's agenda. I need to prepare myself to talk everything out with Calix. After all these years, he needs to know everything from the moment I left him without even bidding goodbye, and I think I will do it tonight. I'm sorry, Cal, if I am late. I stopped by the firm for a small celebration. I explained because I'm 20 minutes late from the time I set up for the both of us. It's okay, James. Take your seat and I'll order us some drinks, he said. Waiter, 1 vodka martini and also 1 whiskey on the rocks for us. Thank you. He still remembered my favorite bar drink. So, how are you, James? I heard that you are the most popular lawyer here in Seattle, he said. From the very own mouth of the gem of New York City, Cal? I'm good. How about you? I asked. Oh, I thought you would never ask me that after 6 years of waiting for you. I'm good, James, even after you left me. He jokingly said something, but somewhere I knew he wasn't joking, but I can't complain. He has all rights to act this way. Cal, I have my reasons. Please just let me explain myself. I told him as I am about to explain myself. Explain it to me then, James. He allowed me to explain myself to him. I will never leave you without a reason, Cal. I had no choice when my dad talked to him about leaving you. He will cut off your scholarship when I choose to stay with you, but I know how much you want to go to law school, so I can't risk it just because I want you. I want you to pursue your dreams, Cal. I kept on looking for ways to contact you again, but when my dad finds out that I'm looking for you, he always threatens me by cutting your scholarship until I give up and just waiting for the day that you'll find me again. I explained my reasons, and I saw his tears running down his face. I'm sorry, James. If only I knew how cruel the world is to you, I would not have blamed you for anything. I'm sorry if you have to sacrifice your own happiness for my own sake. I'm sorry for everything, James. He said sorry and hugged me. It's okay, Cal. We both don't know any of this, and I'm glad that you gave me a chance to explain myself and my reasons to you. I'm so sorry also for not finding you sooner, I said. And thank you for explaining everything, James. I know now everything that I questioned myself every night for the past 6 years of my life, he said. We continue to talk about the life we had for the past 6 years. It was great talking to the man of my dreams after a long time of not even seeing his shadows. I thank the universe for aligning our path again to give each other the closure that we need. Everything seems surreal for me as I talked about the things that we missed from one another, like the things that we've been through apart from law school. I saw him laughing again because of me, and it made my heart feel fulfilled. I couldn't ask for more now that I'm seeing him and giving all his questions all its answers. We really missed so many events in our lives in those 6 years, huh? He said while laughing. We really did, Cal, and about the closure. Do we really need to close this chapter for the both of us? I asked seriously, as my heart beat so fast while waiting for his answers. Who said about closure, James? I was actually thinking of starting again, he said while looking at me with his lovely eyes and dreamy smile. Wait, am I hearing this right? Calix Matthew Lee is asking me again to give me another try? I was about to jump out of excitement when people looked at me with their serious face. Calm down, James, and yes, I'm actually asking you again to give it another shot for us, but promise me one thing, he said. Don't leave me ever again without a notice or please. Don't leave me at all because I can't see myself living in this cruel world without you, my love, he said. I hugged him again, and from there, I know that I will never leave him again like I did 6 years ago. I love this man so much that I can do anything just for his own sake. I will sacrifice anything if it's for him. I promise that I will never leave you ever again, attorney. I want to talk to you about everything that happened in the past 6 years, and I don't think an hour or two more here can do justice to this. I agree, I replied, as I had the same thoughts. Come to my place, it's nearby, I said, hoping he would say yes. Yeah, sure. And he replied with the answer I wanted. Okay, my car is outside. Sure, let's go, he said, and we went to the parking lot to get my car. We sat inside and I turned off the AC, still remembering he doesn't like it. I noticed a small smile on his face as I did that. Attorney, he said in his deep, raspy voice. Yes, Lee? I replied back and I turned towards him. He pressed his lips against mine and I felt heat rushing all over me, and I knew it was not alcohol, but him. Entirely him. I missed you, he said, in between the kiss before we pulled each other into it again, in the sweet kiss that was turning into a steamy one soon. Conclusion. Alexander Soares was given a choice to choose between letting Calix go or else. Calix will lose the scholarship that he wants so badly. James left without saying anything to Calix, which Calix thought that maybe James didn't want him anymore, but it was all a misunderstanding. While Calix is waiting for him, James is actually sacrificing his love for him in order for him to still go through his law school. They're both shocked when seeing each other at court, knowing that it has been 6 years since the last time they saw each other, and the ironic thing is, they're still rivals, but not in academics, but in the courtroom. As known as the unbeatable lawyer of the town, James actually won the case against Calix, and proves that his cousin is not guilty of doing such a crime, and also wiped the dirt on their family name. Calix actually invited James to join him for a drink later that day, and they actually talked about what they left from the past, and explained to each other hoping that there would be a second chance for their romance. And yes, there is. After a long time of not seeing each other, destiny will always make way to bring you back to one another. If it is for you, then it is for you. Trust the time and wait for things to align for you again. There's no things that need to be rushed, but yourself to keep waiting for the right time. The end. Do you believe in second chances? Thanks for watching. Consider supporting us on Ko-Fi to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.